Christina Merkley here, and I'm doing one of my free recorded sessions, and Miriam has found her way to me via Bridget Nielsen, so love her. And you saw the Orphan Rescue work being done there and resonated, and yay, you used the map and the
Yes,
ebook.
yes,
Yay, I love
yes,
that. And had some healing work out of it happen. So
yes.
bravo on
Yeah.
the inner work, that's awesome.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
then you found out about this opportunity and you jumped right in and you're ready to roll. So tell me a bit about what's most up, and then we'll figure it might be more Orphan Rescue, it might be something else we do.
All right. So this week I quit my job of working in a restaurant.
Yep.
That's all I've been doing. That's been my only job for the past 3 years.
Yep.
It started as just like a regular job, but then it kind of continued and became my full-time thing. And I like quit school too, not because of it, but because I wanted to more. But I decided to quit because now I feel like I'm more ready to finally do what I want to do with my career and start my own business. I don't know what I want to do. I'm doing yoga teacher training, and I'm interested in many things such as painting and drawing and writing. I really like interacting with people too. I've thought about using YouTube or any other video platform to interact with people and talk about like topics that interest me, or like another thing that came to my head is to write a book and illustrate it or something. But I find myself just not even thinking about those things. Like even with my yoga teacher training, it's a better example. I just don't even like, sometimes I'll have days where I'm like, okay, I'm ready, I'm gonna study, it's good, like this is what I want to do. And then like just other days I won't even approach it, like I'm scared, you know. I'm like putting it off, and I'm like, oh, like I have so much time, because it's an online yoga teacher training, so I have all the time I need. But I'm like, I have so much time, like I don't need to do it right now. And I find myself doing things that are not what I actually want to be doing, you know, not like coping skills, not coping things,
Distracting
but
a little.
things that are distracting. Yeah. And I'm just like, I have this just tendency to escape like everything, you know, like I escape like things that I want to do, like the yoga teacher training. Been wanting to do that for so long. I'm escaping like my feelings and thoughts about like where I want to go next in my career. And I'm just like, I'm escaping even my escaping from that. I'm just not good at just like facing things that are not even bad for me. Just like I'm not good at facing things in general. I feel like that's coming up the most right now that I don't have a job and I have my life to my own hands.
Wow, thank you. There's so much there, and there's multiple things that I feel myself responding to. So the first thing I want to meet what is, so I want to go there first. The second thing is I think I know what process move to do with you. There's one called inner alignment where we have a goal. So I'm hearing you with the teacher training, and then there's conflicting energy. There's part of you that's yes for the goal, and there's part of you that's this and this and this is way more interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right? So I think that's where we want to go process wise. Before we go there though, I just want to meet because it's being identified. There's a label emerging as escapism. And so yes, there's downsides to escapism, but I also just want to kind of meet escapism, like welcome it. Like escapism isn't all bad, especially in the world that it is right now. I think escapism is pretty darn smart, right? So I just want to make sure that we like bow to the wisdom of escapism before we try to change escapism.
Okay. I bow to it.
Yeah, I bow. Escapism, you are welcome.
Escapism, you're welcome.
Yeah. And just notice what might happen when you do that too. This is a little bit of inquiry as you just, instead of judge it or make it wrong or shake a finger at it, that you kind of like, oh, hello, escapism, welcome.
Okay.
See what happened. It's okay if you went to judging it, but just see what happened as you, was there any softening or what did you notice as you
I feel like more open to it.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's the first thing I wanted to do, because a lot of the work that I do, and then the name of my business was Shift to Coach, right? We can get the erroneous idea that, you know, must shift, must change.
Yeah.
And sometimes the way we do that is by just not doing any of that and just being, right? So, and I just felt, as you said it, first off, time's the life. So I don't know exactly how old you are, but clocking you, I have a lot of compassion for that stage of life. I also have a lot of compassion for generation Y, Z, whatever you want to call
I'm
it, right?
22.
Like, yeah, you guys have inherited like a tough challenge, right? Your soul and where it came in, right? So like, I'm just like, yeah. I'm Gen X, so that was challenging too. But you know, I have a sweet spot for that age of life, like
Thank
my
you.
own
I
younger
haven't thought
self,
about it like
and
that.
for your generation, right? So I don't want to like go to like you know, Gen X, we'd be called slackers, right? So it's just like, no, there's some wisdom here in this escapism. So let's not be so mean to it,
Okay.
and legitimize that. That's
Yeah.
probably, that makes sense. That's in some
Yeah.
ways a legitimate way to cope.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely felt like it saved me many times. Well,
Yeah.
especially when I was younger and I was dealing with more stuff. That was the way
Yeah,
to do it.
exactly. And that's often where it will get set, is younger. And it makes sense in that context, back to Orphan Rescue, right? It makes sense that the psyche makes different choices, and usually very young. And when we're very young, our full logic, rational abilities aren't on board, right? So we often do the very best. We do the best we can
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
And then, and sometimes what was chosen was pretty damn brilliant to survive and get through, right? Then it becomes later in life, something that
Yeah.
was useful becomes a detriment,
Yeah.
right? Or parts of it do.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah. Yeah.
what I hear in you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So we want to just love up that part that is ultimate. And you'll see when we go into this tool that I'm about to bring forth here, that's what it does. That which you resist persists. That which you hate hates you back, right? We don't, emotional scale wise, this stuff about being angry, whether it's at ourselves or at something outside of us, it's a step in the process. It's better than turning it all in on ourselves, but there's more beyond that. So we don't, you know, we don't get anywhere
Yeah.
long term
Yeah.
by hating,
Yeah. Yeah.
within or without. But it's
Yeah.
understandable stage of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. So we're just like, good job, escapism.
Thank you for saving me.
I'm glad you're on the job
Yes.
with Miriam. Well done. Hey. And members of
Yes.
your generation, well done. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And now let's softly turn to the other side of it, which is it can, there's a shadow aspect to the coping mechanism. And so we're going to just gently take a look at that and see what legitimate, authentic movement we can get from your consciousness, right? Again, we're not doing it from a hate or resisting or hate consciousness, you're bad, but we're doing it from a, this exercise is a mediation exercise, right? So it's everything with the different parts of ourselves. It's learning how to mediate with them, right? Negotiation skills. Okay, so with that preamble, I'm going to share my screen, and it's going to take me just a sec, but I'm going to bring up one of my maps.
Okay.
And it's actually not on the process group page, which is where I have a bunch of tools that are shared that I think will be helpful for people during this time.
Oh, wow.
So
I
I'm
feel
going to,
special.
yeah, you're special. I'm going to go to one outside of that. Okay. So I'm going to go through what we're looking at, which will explain what the steps are, and then we'll dive in and do the steps. So,
Okay.
so what alerted me to this would be going to do for you is there's a goal. You might have multiple goals, but I'm really hearing the one about the teacher training, the yoga teacher training. So that's going to go in the goal area.
Okay.
And this process, like all the processes I do, is kind of a teach yourself how to fish thing. You can put
Mm-hmm.
multiple goals in this. We're just going to do one
Mm-hmm.
right now, but
Okay.
know you can kind of do it with multiple things that you might have that you want to be doing, and you encounter conflicting energy.
Okay.
Now, this is a really blunt way to kind of deal with conflicting energy, which is you've got a devil side and an angel side
Mm-hmm.
considering this goal.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of this map is the angel side got you here. It created the goal. It got you into yoga teacher training. So this other one, now it's really not a devil. It
Mm-hmm.
starts out that way. And just like we were saying, it's a survival mechanism. So it's actually a protector. So
Yeah.
scratch the surface of the devil, there's a part of you that often is trying to help you. It's
Yeah.
just a little out of date.
Yeah.
So we'll find out what this part is and what its reactions are to this particular goal. We're not making anything wrong. We're just getting actually really curious so we can understand it more. And we're going to get more of those reactions out. That part of you, even though it seems working against you, it actually has some skills and some abilities. And as we poke around it and understand it a bit more, it's going to be clear what its abilities are.
Okay.
We want those abilities working for you instead of against you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now against you because it's got an outdated purpose and intent.
Mm-hmm.
This is where this protection stuff, coping stuff comes in. And it probably came from somewhere earlier, like we said. So we'll find out a bit more about that.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is where the negotiation comes in. Okay, coping mechanism, part of me that is here to help me keep me safe and survive.
Mm-hmm.
You got built way back when. Newsflash, I'm older.
Some time has gone by.
That's
It's like it's
right.
over.
That's right. I am in my 20s now. I've crossed into
Yeah.
so-called adulthood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to educate it and bring it a
Okay.
bit up to speed. And we're going to talk about your vision and about why you want to be doing yoga teacher training so that you can bring it on board.
Okay.
And then we're going to see, we're not going to push, but we're going to see if there's might be a legitimate chance with this energy within you to update its role and its purpose.
Wow. Okay.
From not way back there or wherever it is, maybe when you're a little kid, to how can we update it for the age you are now and
Okay.
move forward.
Okay.
And then sometimes when you do that, I ask at the beginning what this one is called. Sometimes when you renegotiate that role, if you get that, then the label, the name that you call it changes.
Mm.
And this name business can be quite fun and creative. So it's a
Okay.
nice kind of handle and way to get into it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the train. Should you care to jump in?
Yes. I
Okay.
have the ticket. I'm ready.
Yes. Okay, she's ready. So let's define the goal. It might be as simple as complete yoga teacher training.
To get my yoga teacher certificate.
Excellent. Okay, good. Get yoga teacher certificate. I'm just going to draw a quick one of those so we have a nice visual to, not necessarily nice, but a quick visual. It's one of those little grad sheets with so-and-so is, right?
Okay.
Stars, ding, 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 yay. Smiley faces.
The person has no arms.
That's not supposed to be a person. That's supposed to be one of those little gold medal things that they stick on certificates. Yeah.
Okay. Now
I'm glad we clarified it. Yeah.
That's a bit morbid.
This one is a person with arms. Yeah. You're much more attractive in person. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, there you are.
Perfect. Looks just like me when I finish the yoga.
Yeah, you're all buff as the yoga queen. Yeah.
So muscular.
Yeah. Svelte yoga body. Okay. And that's you. You've done it. Yay.
Yay.
So you want to get your yoga teacher certificate. Excellent. Okay, so this little angel part is like, yes, please, yeah. So it's got you in here, and now when you're in here, and again, it's kind of good. Not all of this is devil. We've got the legitimate one that we're bowing to. Yes, thank you. In fact, let's put it escapism. The handle, the label of escapism. We're just going to put that up there, and there's two parts of it. So we kind of got the positive part and the negative part. So we're just really, again, bowing to this positive part. Thank you, good job, escapism. And then this more problematic side of it is what we're going into here. Okay. So as you get curious and look back when you started to get into your yoga training and doing your online stuff, when you start to encounter where doing something else becomes really interesting, like maybe even cleaning the house or something becomes more interesting than.
When do I start to encounter it?
Yeah, just notice, like, when that starts to happen, we want to kind of go into that and see what's the narrative, what's the thoughts that cross your mind, what are the other activities that start to emerge, what happens, what, as you're calling it escapism right now. I'm just getting a little more, what are the reactions to, I want to get yoga teacher certificate. There's another part of you that pops up that actually doesn't want to do that for some reason.
Well, it's interesting because whenever that happens to me, when I try to do anything and I use escapism, I feel like it just happens. My mind just travels somewhere else and I get carried away with it. I don't really tell myself anything, like in the moment.
Right.
But like after, I'll be like, oh, like, it's okay, I'll just do this for now. And then I completely just forget about what I wanted to do after a while.
Okay.
And then I give myself excuses like, I have time, I can do this later, I'll do this between 5 and 6.
Mind travels elsewhere, can do later.
Yeah.
Good.
And that's why it's so hard, because like my mind does it so subtly that I don't even catch it when it happens.
Right.
It just,
something's coming up, and I'm just going to say it. I'm going to put it over on this side too, to just pull it out and make it visible, right? And so the whole thing, like with technology and with ease of access, right? I don't know what all those, something else is better. It might be multiple things you're doing, but I bet you, I can guarantee, because it is for everybody in the world, some of it is technology, like social media stuff or YouTube or scrolling, right?
Yeah.
So this is a real challenge. This is a huge thing for humanity. And in a short period of time, it's like messing us up and interfering with ways that we, up until very recently, that's how we've functioned, right? And your generation, this whole digital native stuff, right? You guys are grokked in it, and the baby's coming up now even more so, right? So it's like huge shout out to that and making that visible. Like that's not a personal fault.
Yeah.
And it's insidious, and it's challenging for most human beings. It takes a huge amount of awareness and all sorts of, and some of this might be practical things, right? Like you talked about scheduling, like how you use your schedule and the kind of willpower to literally turn off and shut off technology and doing things with technology so one doesn't just habitually get into it, right? That are challenging to do.
Yeah, I've thought about that before, but then again, it just kind of slipped away. And it keeps coming up. Yeah.
So we just want to take it to the collective, not just the personal, right? So this isn't just an individual fault or failing of you, that you're really up against huge forces. And Silicon Valley and some of those execs and stuff, they will come out and say, oh yeah, we knew this stuff was addictive. Right? Really, and we don't let our own kids watch it, or we have limits in our household, or I don't even have a such and such.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. So Okay, that goes for you and anybody else who's watching it
Yeah.
can relate to it, right? To
Mm-hmm.
just like take off all the responsibility is not individual.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Okay.
really hard stuff. It's
Yeah.
really, really hard stuff. And it's been built that way. It's maniacal. Yeah. Okay. Now we go to back to, okay, one that's, and there might be multiple ones in there, but you got this yoga teacher thing. What happens? Your mind travels elsewhere. This thing about, I can do it later. Oh yeah, I can do it between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
What else happens? Technology, is there anything else that it shows up? What form does it show up in?
Um, I'll get emotional sometimes even.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like if I study, so school has always, like since I was little, I wasn't, in school I wasn't really good at focusing. And when I went to college, it was the same. So now I have to use all the power that I kind of built then, but I also have to create new power of myself to give myself motivation to study and how to study. Because I never actually did it at all, really.
Mm-hmm.
So like
You
some
just
days it will be,
coast. You're smart and you got by, but there's some stuff you just can't coast. Yeah.
yeah, somehow I got by. I don't know how, because I didn't study. I didn't do any of the homework ever.
Mm.
Um,
Wow, impressive.
yeah, I don't really know. But I didn't really regurgitate any information ever, like a lot of people do.
Mm.
And so I have some days like it's easy for me to just sit down and I'll remember things. But sometimes like I'll just get down on myself and be like, just tell myself that I'm stupid.
Oh,
I don't know how to study. I'm never gonna remember anything. And that really makes me feel like I can't remember anything and it demotivates
mm-hmm.
very
Okay.
much.
Yeah, now we're getting down into some of the verbiage here. So you're stupid. Uh, you said a couple of them. I know it's a little painful to poke into it, but let's do it because we need to
Yeah.
clarify. What else is it saying? You're stupid. You're
Like I can never remember anything.
good.
I my brain just doesn't work like other people's.
Mm.
Um, I forget everything I learn.
Hold on. So let me get them all down. So
Yeah.
can't remember everything. Don't think like other people. Not necessarily a bad thing. And then what was the next one?
Um,
Don't like other people. Don't think like other people. Okay. Freudian slip. Yeah. Okay.
good one. Um, don't remember anything. Don't like other people. Um, I can't remember, yeah, anything.
That's
I
okay.
don't know. I
Yeah.
don't remember what was the last one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. And I didn't either. So
Yeah.
we got enough to work with, and if it's important, it'll pop back up again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. But you go down an emotional spiral when you start thinking those thoughts. Then it's kind of like, why bother? Why do anything, right?
Yeah. That's how it feels.
Where's the chips?
Oh my
That's
God.
my route.
Don't even get
Forget
me started
chips.
on the chips.
Yeah. Forget yoga training. Yeah. Okay. Mm. Just feeling into where to go with it because there's lots of
Mhm.
different ways. There's something I'm going to put it down here. There's over on the process page, there's one that I did share called Flip It Good.
Okay.
And that's a good one because it helps with this kind of negative chatter
Mm-hmm.
to get it all down and then counter it. Because obviously you're not stupid. If you can get through school and passing without studying, you're far from stupid, right? Um, uh, you can obviously remember something. It's
Yeah.
not a never, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't think like other people, like I was saying. Well, in some situations, when you have to regurgitate, if that's what other people are all doing. Anyway, the point is that it can actually be really helpful to not think like other people, and we need
Mm-hmm.
that in humanity, because if we all get into groupthink, thank goodness for people, a negative groupthink anyway, thank goodness for people who are outliers who can think
Mm.
differently, because
Mm-hmm.
that will help us for when we all get into negative groupthink
Yeah.
and, take spirals humanity down. So it's
Yeah.
not necessarily a negative to not think like other people.
Yeah.
Although, it can be a drag when you're wanting to fit in or you're comparing
Yeah,
yourself to how
that's
other
been a
people
real
are.
problem too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so let's do that one. Don't fit in. And what's the problem of if you don't fit in, what's that problem? What happens if you don't fit in?
You don't have any friends and you feel lonely.
Mm-hmm.
You're a child, of course. I feel like if you're older, then it's kind of easier to not feel lonely if you don't really have anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, it's still like a need everybody has.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a big problem too. Not fitting in and not
And now
like
we go to Orphan Rescue here, right? Because you identified that not so much when an adult, but when a child, right? So then to me, that's ding, ding, ding. Okay, so we have something in there as a child not fitting in, which was no friends and lonely. So there's opportunity, and it's great you're up for inner work because there's, you're keen and there's different angles you can do here. We may or may not do this right now if we don't get to it.
mm-hmm.
How old are you again? 23? Is that what you said?
22.
22.
Yeah.
Okay, so your 22-year-old self, it's a little young because you're still in a developmental curve, right?
Mm,
But you're older than the child, so you
yeah.
can, from your 22-year-old consciousness, nurture her.
Mm. I've
Because
tried to do that, I just can't.
yeah, so this is another thing, which is future self. So you want to go older. You want to jump some timelines here and go to a best case scenario, your older self.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just play a little bit to see. So 22, you have a certain kind of consciousness and you have a certain amount of experience, certain amount of development, maturity, whatever, knowing. Doesn't, I mean, age, you came from Bridget Nielsen, so when you go to soul level, we're not talking about age, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you can't do so much as 22. You can, because you're also,
Mm-hmm.
soul consciousness. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe we've all been around the block multiple times from the whole past
Yeah,
life, parallel life perspective.
yeah.
But if we were doing it more linear, if you were to go to a self who had some more time, like I'm 52, so the
Mm-hmm.
difference between 22 and 52, those 30 years, right? From this age, and before I got to this age, I've been able to do a lot going back in time and nurturing my children, my little ones, right? My younger selves, my adolescent selves. And your age I can do. I have enough of a stretch, right? With 30 years that I
Mm-hmm.
can go back and do. In fact, that's a lot of stuff I'm working with right now. So it's interesting you show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've worked through a lot of my little child stuff and
Mm-hmm.
my adolescent. Now I'm into the young adult stuff. And
Mm,
again, it's
okay.
such a tender time. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, anyway, so for
Yeah.
you, if you were to find a future self, you have multiple ones out there. There's a whole string of them. But what
Mm-hmm.
feels like the right stretch of time that would be able to, since you got a lot going on at 22, so you can't necessarily house those orphans, it wouldn't be appropriate for you.
Mm-hmm.
How far out in time do you think you would go to find a future version of you who would be capable and had things going on that she could take care of those children, those inner children?
I would say 35.
Okay, great. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that time between 22 and 35, there's going to be all sorts of development happening. And
Yeah.
that woman. Okay, so I'll say it quick because the subconscious mind is listening to me. So it's like, okay, little child, hey, future self, 35-year-old Miriam, go get the child.
Okay.
Scoop her up. We got some soul retrieval to do. We got a lonely one there with no friends who doesn't fit in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we
Okay.
know from the 35-year-old, even 22, right? All of us, you're 22, I'm 52, she's 35. We're like all like, oh, orphan. Let's go get that sword, little orphan. And what would we say? What do we say as us three women are zeroing in on that sweet little child? What do we say to her about this? I'm different, and she's thinking she's stupid. She doesn't remember everything. She doesn't think like other people. She doesn't fit in.
Um,
What would we say legitimately to soothe her? We have a different perspective in knowing.
that she doesn't have to feel like she needs to. That feel that fitting in is not an indicator of whether you belong or no.
Beautiful.
I don't know, even now it's kind of hard to think of things. I guess because that belief is still inside of me so
Well,
hard.
and that you're operating from your 22-year-old consciousness, so it is still present because it's come up with the yoga, but you're doing good. That's a good one. We can harvest that even from your 22-year-old. That's excellent. So fitting in is not an indicator of whether you belong.
Yeah,
Yeah. Belonging is such a huge
yeah,
need. Whether
yeah,
you belong or whether you should be here or not. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Or should be here. Okay, so that's a good one. That goes on the board. Now we're going to do some quick body swap in here. Check with your future self. She's 35. Um, uh, you could channel her or you can become her. What's your choice?
I'll channel.
Okay, so your 22-year-old is going to put out a beam to her. Hey, 35-year-old, help me out. What can you ask the 35-year-old what her soothing thoughts, guidance, perspective is? We're going to go for the child first, but know that that's probably going to even help you as the 22-year-old. What does she want to say to the child?
That every child belongs.
Ooh,
Everyone belongs.
beautiful.
That the world is so much more than fitting in. The world is filled with beauty and nature. That inside she has great strength, and it doesn't matter how old she is, she can reach that strength and connect with it.
Yes, excellent. Very wise future self.
And that felt crazy. That felt like I actually connected with her.
You did. You did beautifully. So it's not crazy at all. You did. That's just it's odd for the left brain, right? To go, well, that was weird. That's not the way everybody else thinks, you know?
Yeah, I need to get that left brain a vacation day.
Yeah, and it's back to this, right? Let's put left brain up here with escapism. Thanks, left brain. Glad it has good and bad, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so we're like, thank you, left brain. You're awesome because we couldn't operate in the world without you.
yeah,
And you get a little one track.
yeah.
So, okay, so fitting in is not an indicator of whether you belong or should be here. Every child and person belongs, end of story, right? If you're here, you belong.
Mhm.
Um, it isn't just all about belonging anyway. I mean, there's much more to the world. The world has beauty in nature too. And then, hey, little girl, this isn't about age. You actually have strength. You have strength no matter what age. You are a strong person. You came in wired that way, kid. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
your future self is seeing that and appreciating that and sharing with that little one to say across the time, like, you're strong, kid. Well done. You're strong. I know it's hard. I know it's really challenging. It's odd when you don't get mirrored back, right? When you're different.
Mhm.
I know when you're different from the majority of people around you, it's a tough one. Um, but she's doing it. And we just all say bravo to her. Like,
Mhm.
way to go, kid. We are affirming you. Nobody else gets you, understands you, but we sure do. Yeah. See if there's anything else. You did it beautifully. And in fact, I'm going to have you do the other one. You went for the channeling, so we proved to you you can channel. You can channel your future self beautifully. So remember that, because anytime you
Okay.
get stuck,
Yeah.
call a friend, call your future self.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Now the next one, we have to ask her permission. See if she's okay with you doing a body swap where you're actually going to blitz out there into her time and become her.
Yeah.
Okay. So then go ahead and do that. You can do that too. You're a skilled person. So you're going to find yourself to the time and place of your future self. You're going to take a little bow to her, and then she's going to allow you to jump on in into her. And she makes room and allows you to get in there. This is physical mediumship, right? Or full body trance mediumship, where you're both in there at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you get in there, look through her eyes. Get down in there and embody, get into her limbs and her torso and feet and fingers and the whole body, into her cells. She has a certain energetic, so she feels different, right? 35 feels different from 22 versus childhood. Notice what that feels like. What's it feel like in there if you were to describe it?
Powerful, confident,
Beautiful.
calm. Grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Optimistic.
Mm-hmm. Good. Excellent. As you're in her and in the feel of her, open up her eyes and take a little look-see around your world and see what information you can pick up.
There's a lot of plants.
Okay, excellent.
Um, Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Just really tranquil energy all around.
Excellent. Any sense of what she's about? She doesn't have to be doing stuff. She doesn't have to have a role, but I'm
Yeah.
curious if any of that is there.
She seems like she helps people.
Mm-hmm.
She's like a wise medicine woman, kind of.
Awesome. See if there's anything else. Are there certain people in her life? If so, who are they? Environment? What's her home like? What's her body like? What's her clothes like?
She, well, she's more like bigger physically. She's more full. She's more mature in her body as well.
Mm-hmm.
She's she lives in a place that has big windows. Like the windows are like they're big, but they have these divisions like between them that make them little squares. I don't know if I'm really describing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get what you mean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent. Interesting details.
Yeah. My partner is there, my current partner.
Mm.
We were very close.
Tap into the feel of the relationship and describe that. What's the vibration and feel there?
Comforting, supportive. I'm feeling cats too.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I can see for now.
That's lots. That's beautiful. Just do a little internal bow to all that showed up. Excellent.
Okay.
I want to, while you're in her, while you're being her, you're going to be speaking from her. I want to, hi, future self. Thank you so much for coming. And thank you for allowing Miriam to get on in there and be you. I want to get, you're the best coach in the world for her. So I want to get your take on this yoga teacher certificate and what's going on. She's describing it as escapism. And some of that may be true and some of that may not be. I don't know. So that's why I'm turning to you. And, you know, she's shown up on my doorstep. Yay, I'm glad about that. Um, what is your guidance to her about what's going on with this yoga teacher certificate goal?
Fear. She's just scared.
Okay. Which,
She's
keep going.
she's just scared that she is actually, she has capabilities inside, but she's scared to show them because she's scared that I don't know, she just doesn't want to, she's just scared to show them. That's it. She doesn't want the world to see it. She's comfortable just dumbing herself down.
Tell me about the skills and abilities that she's afraid to show.
That she has really good intuition, actually, and that she has really good grasp on things. She can learn, contrary to what she has been
Said,
told. She understands things very quickly, and she has a really good grip on people and reality. She actually really loves everyone, but she feels like people are scared of that. So she doesn't always show it. She doesn't show it almost at all. Like, she's found a really good way to stop showing it, and
hides it.
she hides it.
Okay, awesome, future self. Anything else you would say about skills and abilities that you, from your perspective, can understand?
She's really good with like working with her hands, like creativity and plants, like detection of like soil and like feeling the earth. She's really good with feeling the earth and feeling the energy of the earth.
Excellent. So how do we get past this fear? What's your take on this fear? Where are you at 35? You may still be, you have a future self from here, so you're still in development. So there might still be an ongoing thing happening with fear. But what did you do, or what did you be? What's your guidance from your vantage point about how at 22 does she start to work with this fear stuff that's starting to become aware and into her consciousness?
She has to understand that the fear is always gonna, maybe not always, but it's there. That's the first thing she has to understand. And she has to do the opposite of what the fear is telling her to do.
What else? Anything else?
Even if she feels like what she's doing, it's not bringing up, she should not have any expectations to how things should make her feel.
So she's not having expectations about how things should make her feel. What is she doing? What's the flip of the no expectations?
To be open-minded about things, to be present, take them as they come.
Okay, very good.
And to not be scared to let love show through, even if it has been rejected or dumbed down in the past, and it has been by many people.
Mm-hmm.
I still sense some fear even in my 35
Sure,
years.
it's a big one. Yeah.
But should not be scared to show people that I love them, even if I don't get it back. It's
Very
not.
good.
It's not a give and take situation. It's, if I dumb down the love, then I'm actually harming who I am.
Very wise. Thank you, thank you, thank you, future self. Very wise. Future self, how would you name this fearful part, this one that's interfering with the yoga teacher certificate goal and maybe with other things? If we were to give a name or a label to that, from your vantage point, what do you understand that one to be? What's the essence of that part of her? Is it just the fearful one?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm looking for a name because it helps 22-year-old Miriam and me as a coach. It helps her to understand this. If we can give this aspect, this part of her back here that's interfering with the yoga teacher certificate, if we're to give it a name, it might be a literal name like Jill, or it might be something like the scared one.
Okay.
Something right, like a porcupine's coming to me, or something in a shell.
It's like
Um,
teeth. I don't know, sharp teeth.
ah,
It feels like sharp teeth in my stomach.
okay, great. We'll go with that. So there's this whole kind of sharp teeth thing happening in the stomach. And is there any other name or label one would give to that feel of having sharp teeth in the stomach? That's how that fear literally feels, like teeth in the stomach.
Like a block. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it just feels like it's restricting.
It is. It's restricting. It feels like teeth in the stomach. It's a block. Good. All very good descriptions for this part. Now, as she continues, and it sounds like you're in process with that too, right? It's at least for part of your life. Who knows how long? It may be the whole life lesson here, but there's this working with this fear and working with the teeth in the stomach and the restriction and the blocks, and there's an ongoing way of lessening that, and feeling the earth instead, and letting love show through, and doing love even if it's not reciprocal and it's not returned, and doing the opposite of what the fear says, being open-minded, being present. What's the flip of that? If that other stuff feels like the teeth in the stomach and the restricting and the block, as this gets worked with and this consciousness shifts, what's it shift to?
To more flow in my life. Less, more activity, more like manifestation of my dreams. More doing what I want and what I like, and less doubting myself and overthinking.
What's the opposite of doubt?
Confidence.
Mm-hmm. And does that have a body feeling? Just like the other one, that fear is like teeth in the stomach. What's this feel like? Where is this in the body?
Also in the stomach, but
Ah, okay.
feels like it's expanding to my arms and my legs.
Okay, great. So there's that openness where it moves. It's not so constricted, right? It's unfolding and moving. And even that love just kind of goes out into the world instead of remaining constricted and tight and gnashed teeth. Well, you're a somatic body person, so it makes sense to me that the names come that way instead of with words. So I'm going to really bow to that and honor that. And we're seeing that teeth in the stomach interfering at the 22, and then we see this openness and flow in the stomach being the path of consciousness that shifts over time.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Now, you're further on the path than the 22-year-old is. Are there any specific doings or beings that you recommend to her? They may be things that you did or you were to get where you are at 35, or there may be, from hindsight, you're like, I can even suggest other things to her that might even work better than what I did.
To she's saying to continue with my yoga and my
Mm-hmm.
meditation, because without it I wouldn't be even where I am right now. And she's saying to continue eating healthy and to surround myself with my sister and my pet, my dog, and my boyfriend, and to not be scared to let other people in, and to not be scared to get hurt from other people, because if I really want that love to be open, then I need to learn how to practice it being open.
Good. Okay, so practice being open. And if she's not being afraid of people, she's practicing being open. What else is she doing?
She's practicing her confidence. She's giving people advice, so and it's advice that she always knew in her heart, so she should not be scared to give people her opinion and not be scared to not be approved.
Mm-hmm. So if you're not approved, what are you?
Rejected.
Yeah. So is it like get more comfortable with rejection?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and not get so triggered when rejection
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. So work with your rejection triggers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing her say. Work with your
Yeah.
rejection triggers. There's some good work. And I can tell you, as somebody who works with people, you'll get all sorts of reactions. So it's definitely a necessarily inner work skill, right? To get more
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with different
Mm-hmm.
people's reactions. Work with your rejections. Uh, uh, I guess it's fear of rejection.
Yeah. And to always strive for the place of connection, because even if somebody is rejecting or somebody's angry or somebody is in different emotional energetical place than you can always find still the connection between the souls and operate from that point.
Beautiful. Wow. So wise. Excellent. Operate at that level. Good. Whew. Thank you, thank you, thank you, future self.
Thank
Okay, we're doing all sorts of good work here. We're doing Orphan Rescue, we're doing Inner Alignment, we're doing future self, we're doing an action plan. You're guiding me, future self, for what we can write down for Miriam to do and to be. Specifically on the yoga teacher certificate, I think some work has been done here with consciousness raising about this teeth in the stomach business, right? That's been interfering. How do you see this going after this conversation? And anything that we can do to help make it easier for Miriam to keep going with that certificate? She can call on you now. She's got the link to you. So hopefully you two and your collaboration can keep on going here.
Yeah, but she also needs to learn how to do it from her point of.
Okay, good. From her vantage point.
From her vantage
From
point.
her world.
And because if she doesn't, it's going to continue consuming her.
Okay.
And she needs to not be so wrapped up in her emotions and in that teeth in the stomach feeling, and to remember that that feeling used to be there to protect her, but now it's just a residual piece of her past.
Good, good. So remember that fear feeling is residual from the past. Beautiful. Now she's got more consciousness and can spot it and be accepting of that. Oh, you, welcome, welcome. You're just some stuff from the past. Remember that fear is residual from the past. I don't need to become it. I don't need to embody it. I don't need to be taken out by it. I don't need to get all in it. I can just acknowledge it and love it. Talking about heart and love, right? Love it, but not let it run the show anymore, not embody it. Good. Excellent. Thank you, future self. Anything else you would say specifically around getting this yoga teacher certificate done?
When she feels like she is starting to escape what she needs to do, she should just center herself for 5 minutes or so and do the work that she wants to do, really in her heart. Because that's what she really wants to do. She doesn't want to escape.
Yeah.
She wants to succeed. So centering, and over time it will get easier.
Developing that skill and that muscle. Good. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you two can continue to communicate. You don't need me to do it. But since I am here, anything further in this particular communication, I'm taking notes, getting it down. So anything further you want me to make sure is on this record, that will be staring back at her.
Continue eating healthy, because it will help you, and continue drinking your herbs. And continue learning about what interests you.
Okay, very good. Going once, going twice. When you're ready, Miriam, you're in there and you're occupying her. I know it'll be hard to pry oneself loose, but you'll probably be able to negotiate with the future self some ability to do that if you need to again. And even when you extract out your consciousness, you're taking it with you. You've got the feeling place of it, right? That essence and vibration as you separate out your cells. I mean, you two are each other anyway, so you can't fully separate out the cells even if you wanted to. You're not different people, you're the same being. So as you bring your consciousness outside of her, standing in front of her, and now the two of you are separated into 22-year-old and 35-year-old, first off, acknowledge that. bow to her, thank her, hug her, whatever the two of you want to do. That's an incredible gift for the future self to be able to allow you to do that. And there are multiple things that went on there. You being able to feel that, tapping into those the vibrations and frequencies, even just the proving of the ability to channel from her perspective, and how you did it from both bodies, right? To be able to do that, you have a gift and ability. All that, you know, comes out of what you just did. So we thank you so much for allowing you to do that. Okay, now you did a quick little journey to get yourself there, so you're going to say goodbye to her, knowing you can come back if she allows you to and you want to, and you're going to time travel back to your 22-year-old self who's here in front of the computer doing the session with me. And when you're back, you're taking with you, you're bringing back with yourselves as you time travel, you're bringing back the essence of future self with you. And her confidence, and her power, and her calm, and her groundedness, and her optimistic outlook, and the plants, and the sunshine, and tranquility, and the helping people, and that quality of being a wise medicine woman. You're bringing back some of that even for 22, right? You've just got that. That's who you are. And there'll be development to happen here where that gets honed and developed. I mean, you just can't skip steps. I know when I was 22, I was very smart and capable, but I can tell you from being 52, a lot happens in 30 years too that you just can't get crammed into you any other way.
That gives me hope.
Yeah, and the time goes by really incredibly fast.
Yeah, it's true.
Scarily so, yeah.
Yes. Oh my
So
God.
both are good. The 22's good and the older is good. So they're all wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a whack of notes here. So just take your time as your consciousness come back and just kind of adjust. There's some coloring things I have to do to make these teeth and mouth look more like things. But
Where are the teeth and...
right here, if I orient you to the chart, if you can,
Oh, I see
my
them.
mouse at the name, yeah, I'll just
Yeah,
bring up my,
that's a perfect visual.
good. Good. It was fascinating. I think you're the first person who's given it to me somatically like that, and I just love it. So
I feel a lot of things in my belly.
yeah, and it makes sense too, like yoga and the body stuff, right? And metaphors, these symbols, right brain, they communicate very
Yeah.
significantly, right? Than
Yeah.
just a bunch of words. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, let's see if we can get that a little lighter.
My own chart. Yay.
Yes, you got your own in here. So up here is the name, and so there's your, teeth in the stomach. I'm just gonna highlight this so we can see it a little bit here, right? And so that's where you're starting with this restriction and this block. That's who's interfering. That's the name in a way, right? If I'm to draw the stomach in here on your little person, right? There's the teeth in the stomach, right? That's what's interfering here with this goal. And we also we started here, there's a little orphan rescue happening here. Oh, and by the way, future self, zip on in there and get that and take that self out and collapse that stuff in there. She doesn't need to stay there emitting that stuff as a child, that lonely child. Go rescue the lonely child, future self. Boop, future self just did it. And that collapsed, right? And so you no longer have that sense of that lonely child because that child is now with the future self.
Yeah.
And is getting brought up by her.
Yeah.
Right. And being mentored by the future self. Boy, to be a little kid being brought up by her, that's going to change timelines for you. So so that's going on. That kid who's different now gets to be with that wise one, and maybe the 35-year-old doesn't want it, and if so, then go up the line, maybe go to where she's retired or something, and and that
Yeah.
that one has plenty of capacity for for being present and
Yeah.
raising the children,
Yeah.
the inner child. Yeah.
I think
So, yep, go ahead.
I
Yep.
think the 35 is ready. She feels ready.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so she's okay with it. Excellent. Okay, so an orphan rescue happened there too. So I'm just kind of coloring that a little bit. And then because the orphan and, 22-year-olds understandably usually aren't in the business of being able to, or should they be looking after orphans, because the consciousness is not right there and you got enough going on, and we're in 2020 for Pete's sake with everything that's happening in the world. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I brought in the future self. And the future self, I just took advantage of that for the future self to guide us about what you came for, the teacher's certificate stuff. And so all this stuff over here on the far side on the left in red are specific doings and beings that the future self is recommending.
Mm.
So from centering yourself, and keep doing that instead of the distraction, use the awareness to center and get into your heart. And it won't take long each time you do that. And it's also your work as a medicine woman that, that she becomes. One has to get very good at that. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll be doing that. You'll remember that fear is residual from the past. So when this stuff comes up, you're like, oh, there you are. There's my residual stuff from the
Yeah.
past. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Instead of like becoming consumed by it and
Yeah.
embodying it, you maintain that separation and that
Yeah.
awareness about what it is, and don't let it hook you.
Yeah.
You're going to continue with yoga. Just going to get these. You're going to continue to eat healthy and drink your herbs. Surrounding yourself with your boyfriend, your sister, and your dog. Keep going with that. Keep focusing on the learnings, like what interests you, like the exploration you're in. That's good. Keep going. Practice being open and confident. You can tap into the future self. This feeling that you're starting to get, and that's what's depicted down here on the name change
Mm.
here at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is that different? It doesn't feel like the teeth and the restriction. There's an opening in there. So that's going to be a somatic anchor for you to,
Mm-hmm.
when you start to feel that, to go, oh yeah, let me center and let me tap into how that feels in the future self.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Yeah.
And which is perfect with, everything you're doing with yoga and somatic training, right?
Yeah.
To be able to find that, keep inhabiting that place, keep the stretch from the contraction to the openness.
Yeah.
And as you continue to learn and develop your interests and do all those cool different things you're into, sharing your opinion. It sounds like down the line, though, what she's doing, she's probably getting paid to be the wise medicine woman. So, some of
Yes.
this will start with sharing your opinion. Who knows? You did exceptional there with channeling. I don't know if it's that she's telling you here your skills. You have intuition, you have a good
Yeah.
grasp, you have a fast understanding, you have a good grip on people and reality. This whole thing that you're able to do with capacity to love everybody and everything, that's extraordinary, right? And the energy that you're able to feel, like those are all your valuable skills and abilities.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to develop. I can really feel that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to keep going with that, I know from my own path, it happens step by step, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it kind of sneaks up on you. Where I started was just pursuing my interests, and
Mm-hmm.
they looked odd to begin with. Like, I'm into organizational development. I went and
Mm.
did that. Then I got into this drawing and doodling stuff, which
Yeah.
a lot of people thought was nuts, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
followed it. I studied alchemical hypnotherapy, law of attraction,
Oh.
shamanism,
Yeah.
tons of
Yeah.
energy protocols, more left brain people in my family included. It was like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
But all that stuff eventually wove into like who I am and what I'm
Yeah.
doing and how you
Yeah.
came to find me now. That didn't happen
Yes.
overnight. But
Mm-hmm.
as I stuck with it, and as I was like, okay, I don't fully understand how all this all comes together. I did not know it at the time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I can be a little future selfie here and just share with you who I'm
Mm-hmm.
projecting my younger self on, which is I would say to her, it's like, keep going. I agree with the future self. Those
Mm-hmm.
interests may not make sense now, but I know as I followed mine, they came together. They started
Mm-hmm.
to show themselves. They started
Mm-hmm.
to become a skill package. They started to become eventually a practice and a business. They became things that over time I slowly monetized, and they became very lucrative and very useful. And talk about soul, that it's something that I have. I'm not perfect. I screw up a lot. I'm a human being, but I'm on my soul's path. Like, I am doing my best as a human being to
Yeah.
be of assistance. So I
Yeah.
feel an integrity with my soul,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So it's like, I just say, like, stick with it,
Yeah.
keep going,
Yeah.
remain in ambiguity, because we don't know at the beginning, but we eventually, now I look back and it seems like, oh yeah, that was such a clear path. When I was living it, it wasn't clear.
It's kind of messy, honestly. That's how
It
it
totally
feels.
is. It is, but that's normal. That's how it happens. You're not doing anything
Yeah.
wrong. At least that's been my experience. That it was hard. It was messy. I could not see the forest from the trees because I was in the valley of
Yeah.
it, day-to-day life. But now I can tell you from the vantage point I have, having gone through that stuff, and it has coalesced into an it for me, right?
Yeah.
I can relate to the wise medicine woman thing. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
a way to define,
Mm-hmm.
in some ways, what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
what you're
Mm-hmm.
about.
Mm-hmm.
It will coalesce, and that just takes time. And being willing to go through the developmental curve, do a ton of inner work. So
Yeah.
the fact that you found yourself here at 22 is impressive as heck, right? And Starseed, like ahead of the curve, carrying a different energy. That's another thing your generation is doing,
Yeah.
right? Like, my
Yeah.
generation was the head of the one before me, and I was the little wonderkin, and now you're the wonderkin who's ahead, because
Yeah.
that's the way it happens.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to get out of this mess.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
why our, souls very consciously chose to come at this time and to plant
Yeah.
through certain family and certain issues and
Yeah.
certain regions, right? So you're
Mhm.
all on track.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. So work with your fear of rejection, find the soul connection, operate at that level, just to finish off this list.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, that was a really remarkable, fast-moving session, and you
Yeah.
exhibited what your future self said with your
Yeah.
ability to roll with it. You did just fantastic. I'm super impressed. Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I really felt like I was in connection with my future self.
You
I
were.
really felt like I was in space somewhere with her.
Yeah. 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 So I hope that keeps going, right? If it's an interest for you, then she's just become an incredible ally. It may be you just did it this once, but a lot of people who I have the privilege of being introduced to their future self, they keep going with her,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
gonna.
Yeah. And when you get stuck with the orphan, she's a go-to for you. Um, because she has more consciousness on you, and she will have a different vantage point. So just like you did here, use her. And then if she gets stumped, she has a future self from there. So sometimes
Yeah.
you have to call in the future self.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I will do a little bit more with this map, and I'll get the map to you. The recording, it's probably
Awesome.
a week or two. You'll see it show up. It shows up on my YouTube and my social media. If you
Okay.
need it earlier, you can just ask my assistant, Pat,
Okay.
at my website, Admin at Shift It Coach, and she'll get it to you earlier if you want it earlier.
Okay. A week is just fine with me.
Okay, cool. And yeah, thank you so much for finding your way and being open
Yeah.
and confident. You already have that to jump in
Thank you.
and do this with me, who you just saw briefly on Bridget's thing. What an honor. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
it
Yeah.
really is an honor. Thank you. As soon as I saw your video with her, as soon as I saw your process, I knew like I had to do something like that. Like I knew that that was like the next step in the process, and I feel really honored to have worked with you. You, you definitely what you said about the medicine woman. That's the first thing I felt about you.
Mm,
So I'm really honored that
thank
you
you.
gave me an
Takes
opportunity.
takes one to know one. And I love working with people from your generation. So if you know any other people who you think this would be a fit for, please let
I
them
have a
let
few
them
people
know.
in mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, give me a closing quote. Doesn't mean you quote somebody, you just quote yourself, but anything you want to say. How are you at this point in time? An I am or I have statement.
I am, like, how do you say waters that are like, I'm turbulent. Feels life feels turbulent, but it feels good turbulent.
Ah,
Like,
I'm in good turbulence. That's excellent.
I'm in good
Yeah.
turbulence.
Yeah, that's so apropos. That's
Yeah,
excellent because it's not like everything gets all in one map, but you're
yeah,
on your way and you're into inner work,
yeah,
and you know that just because something is uncomfortable or messy doesn't mean it's bad.
yeah, yeah. It took a long time to know that, but every day it's getting more and more easy.
You're so ahead of the curve. It takes a lot of us a lot longer than
I'm
22 to get that one. So good for you.
I have
Yeah,
I yeah, yeah, I have days though that I'm just so, I don't know,
yeah.
like it's weird. I have days that are good, days that are bad, but that's just how it
It's
is. So
normal. Make them okay. Don't make it wrong.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Just
yeah,
love it. Back to your heart. Back to
yeah,
loving it and being self-accepting. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So go be in good turbulence.
What about your quote? Do you have a quote for
What's
me?
my quote? My quote would be like, how am I at this? I just feel really grateful. I feel really happy. I'm glad that I stuck with it,
Yeah.
through the hard times and the turbulent, and they're still turbulent. It doesn't go away. We live in a dual plane. There's always going
Mm-hmm.
to be, light and dark and
Mm-hmm.
so-called negative and positive. But yeah, thank you for the mirroring because I can see my younger self in you. So I'm kind of like, just like, yay, you kept going. Like I do a lot of time travel work with my selves, and I've often said to her, I stand on your shoulders. Like,
Yeah,
thank you. I now exist because of what you
yeah,
went through, and I love you so
yeah,
much. And I do my best to extract her orphan rescue wise out of those really tough spots,
yeah,
and bring
yeah,
her home. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that. It was just amazing.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank
very
you so
full
much.
session. We'll end it there. Take
Okay,
good care and
thank you.
all the
You too.
best, and keep me posted.
I will.